Hello everyone, welcome to We Design Tomorrow, a podcast for designers to unleash your creative potential. We provide you the right information with the right people. So welcome again, I'm Sudarshan, this podcast host. So as we said before, we bring you the designers from different stages from intern to senior level positions. So in the last episode we have spoken to Mr. Yuvraj Muthu, who was a design leader or who is a creative design lead at Kisflow. And today we have Mughil, who is UI UX designer at Deloitte. So welcome Mughil, welcome to the show.
Hey Sudarshan, thanks for having me.
Hey, hi Mughil. So how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. How about you?
Yeah, good. So what do you say? Why did you pick design instead of you might have a different choices when you chose and you chose design as your undergraduate program
Hmm.
in your undergraduate program too. So why did you choose design?
I mean, to answer that question, we have to go a little back. So while I was young itself, I was an art kid. So we used to have these art classes back at school. So I was very looking forward for those classes from other than math and science. And I wasn't a very studious person. I flunked classes. Uh, I failed exams, like like each exams,
Right.
and
Okay.
I was the kid who goofs around in the last bench. I was so going mainstream into engineering or medical wasn't really my thing. So yeah, like I said, I used to sketch a lot back at school. Uh, and yeah, that was the spark for me for doing something creative when 10th came in, which was the crucial part for any kid. Uh, i i was asked this question, what are you going to do next, a lot. So for a fact that I wanted to do something creative which I can call end of the day as my own. So going engineering or medical wasn't. Of course, my parents wanted to do it, but like I was opposing. So I came across a lot of creative fields like fine arts, architecture, or viscom or stuff, animator. But then something popped up called design, bachelor's in design, which my father introduced me to, and I went through the syllabus and saw like, okay, this kind of feels right at that time. So that's why. So I think looking back, I made a good choice joining design,
Okay.
and yeah, hope it answers.
Right. Okay. So almost the same story happened to me also.
Mm-hmm.
So when you chose design, you might have introduced to NID, IIT.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, then why VIT?
Okay, VIT. The one thing is that I didn't get it. I didn't beat the marks for NID or IITs. I mean,
Right.
I went till the second round for NIT, but I got I didn't pass for that. Uh, yeah, so I again, so there was a lot of practice that even though I might be a good at all the tests, but there's this time factor, right, for these exams, which you have to be really quick at while doing solve the sums or all the DAT problems, right? So I didn't meet the mark for it. I was really slow taking my time, and I didn't quite make up for the threshold, eligibility threshold. So then there was a lot of colleges that popped up in the south as well, like from DA from Coimbatore. Then was one in
DJ,
Hyderabad.
sorry, DA or
Oh,
DJ?
sorry, DJ,
DJ,
DJ.
yes.
Yeah, DJ from Coimbatore. Then there was Voxen from Hyderabad.
Mm,
Then there was VIT also starting a new thing.
mm,
So since VIT has this reputation of a good college,
mm.
so might as well, like, we went for it, and I liked the college. The professors seemed nice, and they were qualified enough. So I got to VIT.
Right, okay. Now you work under Deloitte
Hmm.
in HashedIn Deloitte, okay.
Hmm.
So how did you get selected into Deloitte? So can we talk more about it?
Okay, so one thing is that I when I was studying, so since it was a product design, I wanted to do. So the initial 2 years of my college, I was figuring out what. what I was supposed to do, because there was a lot of fields, right, in design. There's UI UX, there's product design, there's smart product design, there's medical, etc. Yada yada. So uh, I was figuring out most of my stuff, what I'm gonna do in the first initial 2 years. Then I found UI and UX. Then I think around second year or so. So I made small projects here and there. And I got settled and I got comfortable with it. Then college placements happened. So at the end of around sixth or not sixth, end of seventh sem. Uh, so the first qualification was you have to be up to the mark, as in there was a criteria level of your CGPA. So that was the first thing. So I was a decent student, so I just got into it. And yeah, so the next round was after your threshold. After the initial filtration, was they select your portfolio. So a link will be sent out to you, and you have to submit your portfolio to it. And the designers from HashedIn, they go through it, and if you are up to the mark, they proceed you to the next step. So the next round was, I think, the DAT. So they also had a DAT entrance.
That design aptitude test.
Design aptitude
Right.
test.
Okay.
So it basically, so for someone who doesn't know what DAT is, DAT is design aptitude test, which like marks your or scores your creativity, problem solving, and reasoning. So you have a bunch of open-ended questions where you have to just answer. There are no wrong answers, but the quality of the answers matter, and you get scored by that. So that was one thing, and I wasn't given the score, but I got proceed to the next step, which was the interview test,
Okay.
which was one of the hardest tests
Okay.
which I went through, because uh, the person sitting from the other side knows everything and will call out your bluffs. So it's really important that you once you sit into the interview room, and you would find there are like 100 plus problems in your portfolio.
Yes.
So they'll critique each and every part of your project, and it's a very stressful situation, and you get put into the spot as well. So yeah, it went well according to me. I did okay.
You got selected, so it went well. Okay. Right.
And for the next round, it was HR round. So they just basically SWOT analysis you, and they just find whether you are a good fit for the company. And that's it.
Okay, what's the difference between this interview and the HR round? What's the difference?
So there are hard skills and there are soft skills, right? So hard skills are what you bring to the table when it comes to your role of joining the company. So when it comes to the interview, they just talk about, you present your portfolio, and they just talk about your work, your quality of work, and stuff. But in a HR review, they check whether you're a fit for the company, as in whether you come under the principles of the company,
Right. Okay.
what your soft skills and stuff. So if that matches and your quality is good, so they just pick you.
Right. In the previous episode, when I was talking with Yuvraj, he said there is some kind of test called culture test, where they just check the people whether they are matching with the cultures which the company have. So have you had anything related to that? Is that HR checked you whether you are a proper match for the culture of the company?
Yes, I would say. So in every company, when it comes to campus placement, they have these pre-placement talks. Okay, so
Right.
they just explain you what the company's principles are.
Right.
I
Okay.
think the questions aren't direct, but they'll get the answers indirectly through the HR. I feel like, they got the answers indirectly, so it wasn't straightforward questions. They take a wild route and they come back to you.
Right. Okay. So then, actually, it starts from the placement lecture. Then it goes to see your CGPA screening, then portfolio, DAT interview, then the HR process. It starts from the selection. Okay, lecture. Okay, right. Interesting, bro. Okay, you said portfolio, said on CGPA. What is that minimum eligibility of that CGPA they expected from you, and what you had in that time?
I was a seven. I think I was 7.9, 8-ish, somewhere around there.
Okay.
I was a decent average student, but they asked for above 6.
Okay, okay.
So one thing I have to point out is that marks really don't matter when it comes to design school. So if you're someone who's chasing for the marks, it really doesn't matter in the end of the year, because the quality of work you provide to the portfolio matters. And I would say if someone who is starting young in their design career, I would recommend you experimenting a lot with your designs rather than going into a more comfort zone. So let's say what I mean by comfort zone is that, let's say if something works and you get a good mark for it, and you try the next thing and you of course you'll get a good mark. Instead of that, maybe push yourself of your comfort zone and experiment new stuff. So end of the third year or fourth year, you will have I would say a vast uh, portfolio and a very depth one also. So
Right. Okay. Portfolio. You said vast portfolio, and can we look into your portfolio so
yeah,
that
sure.
we'll get more idea?
uh,
We are here at his portfolio. It's his Behance profile. Yes. So you said wide range of works, as in I thought you would have explored. You made projects in different domains like medical product design, smart
hmm.
product design, and some tangible product design. So why didn't you add those in here? Those here.
uh, so one of the reasons is either you can make a Behance profile
Okay.
for what you gonna pitch to, or you can have a like a single file which has all your projects. So I felt like that was very time taking. So I was mainly focusing for UI and UX, and my pitch was for UI and UX. So that's why I uploaded a page dedicated for just UI and UX. Of course, I had a lot of other projects as well, but that it didn't cut to the mark, or maybe like I said it before, I was mainly focusing on UI and UX.
Right.
So I just compiled all the things which was under my interest.
Okay. So can we just pick into one or two of your projects and know how you have done that?
Sure, sure, sure. You can go to the one on the far right, the green one.
Right. Okay.
Uh, so, so this was my first ever project.
Okay.
So there
Interesting.
might be a lot of things which I feel wrong about it now, but I mean that's the process of
So
learning things.
when you have done this?
So this was done back at, I think, halfway through third year, I guess.
Third year. It may be in 2020
Hmm.
during the COVID.
During COVID.
Right. Okay. It's your first project. Can we go
No, no,
through
no.
it?
I think before COVID. I think
Okay.
around second year, second half of second year, I think.
Okay. So app that helps in donation through request. So can you
Yeah.
explain this?
So like it says, it's an app that helps you in donation through requests. So uh, I wanted to create something for which is very human, as in which promotes humanity. So I went for an app. So donations is a tricky part because it deals money, right? But it's a when you do it, it's a good deal. And I wanted an app to facilitate and make the process easy. So if you scroll down
Okay.
to the screens,
Okay.
so yeah, what happens is, so there are two main features for this app. The first one being that you can ask a request and someone can donate it. As in, let's say you are a trust, or you are a owner of a child trust,
Okay.
and I'm a common person. So you have a lot of your how you run the trust is basically the donations, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is there's a lot of scams that happens
Yes.
in the real world right now. You donate money, and sometimes, or in most of the cases, it doesn't reach the right person.
Yes.
So what I have done is that, so let's say there are 50 children under your child trust,
Okay.
and they need 50 shampoo bottles for example. So what you can do is you can request that you need 50 shampoo bottles, and the app will take care of the prices, and
Okay.
it put out to the public. So as a public, what I can do is trusting this app. I can
Right.
donate
Okay.
my money to it, and the middle person will take care of delivering the required goods to the trust. So this is one of the features, and the next feature is that it's
Can I
for
scroll down or you
yeah,
need
yeah,
to?
you can scroll down.
Yes.
So the next feature is that it's for a really close space. For example, uh, your hostel block or your hostel itself,
Okay.
let's say your society or your apartment, your community. So it's like that, where you meet a certain small number of people,
Okay.
and you can have a goods exchange in between. Let's say you are in your society and you need a cricket bat, but you don't have the money for buy it. Let's say you are a 10-year-old and you need a cricket bat. Maybe you can ask a request through this app, and some guy can inside your society, if he has an extra bat, can request. Donate to you.
Right.
So it happens in a small scale inside a close community, and yeah. So this is the welcome screen, and
Okay. I'm sorry.
that's okay.
Right. Can we talk about this research and the process of it in a?
Yeah. So the research, again, since it was a sensitive topic because we are dealing with money, right?
Yeah.
And dealing with money and trust as well. So it was quite tricky. But I had to talk to a lot of people to get to know their habits when donating. Why are they donating? Why not they are donating? What is stopping them from donating? And I was talking to few trust as well. What are their expectations? How they handle? What are the managements are? So
Right.
the design process was mostly research driven. So there
Okay.
was a lot of research done to it by asking questions, and some maps helped me, gather and tackle different perspectives of the problem itself.
Right.
Moving down, so these are the mind maps, cultural maps, target. What are the
So what is
cultures?
this cultural and flow model? Can you explain?
So the cultural is the cultural aspect when it comes to the process of donating itself. What are the cultural aspects stopping a uh, particular process? In our case, donation. So how does a cultural uh, aspect, let's say, um, in a Hindu culture or Indian culture, they say it's good to donate by giving to others, but uh, we don't trust new people, right?
Okay.
Stranger danger. So that's a cultural aspect which is like bred into our society. So that was one factor, for an example. And flow model is generally how things occur when it comes to donating. So what are the how's the flow between a donator and a charity? What are the different flows they receive and they take? Receive and give. So yeah, so these tackle just the flows between two different parties or two or more parties.
Right. Okay. So user persona.
So user persona basically talks about. Um, so I have two main personas. One being the public
Donator and
donator and the
receiver.
receiver. So yeah. So what are their frustrations? What are their needs? It talks about that. It's good to have a persona early into your design because it sets uh, knowing your end users help you to make a better design. So this is the user flow for a donator. So how he donates. So how will he navigate through the app?
Right. Okay.
What and all on the different stages he'll be going through the app, and that's the receiver's part. This is the basic branding
Right. Right.
and prototypes,
Mid fidelity.
mid fidelities.
Wireframes. Okay.
So these are the high fidelities, main screens.
Okay. One question. So where
Yeah.
did you got the inspiration to do this app? Design this app?
I really don't remember because I think there was a bunch of apps which I was taking inspiration from.
Okay.
I don't actually remember right now if you ask me because it was 3 years back.
Right.
Uh, so yeah, I was going through. So the main inspirations were through donating apps. So what are the common theme or common ground in all the donation apps. So I was getting through that. But in terms of when it comes to UI, I think I picked from multiple inspirations.
Right.
So it's just pick and play from most of the things. So,
Right. Right. Okay. So then it's a good one. So what other projects you would say to look into?
I would say the one from the left, far left,
Okay,
top
the
one.
Virtue 2022 design. Nurture,
Yeah,
sorry.
not sure. So this was one of the competitions by Cognizant.
Okay.
So Cognizant, if you know, it's a big
Right.
corporate company. So
Right.
they had conducted a design competition, and I got into the, I think, the top three. If you go down, so basically we had only limited amount of time for this. We had
Okay.
for only like 3 days to complete the challenge. So it was a crunch because when you talk about research only takes about 3 to 4 days,
Okay.
but you have to complete the whole project within 3 days, which
Right.
is a very difficult task. Uh, so if you scroll down, the problem statement was about small scale vendors
Okay.
uh, are affected by 30-day returns policy. So when you buy a shoe from a small scale vendor in a, let's say, Amazon or Myntra, so you use the shoe for 30 days and you return, it's a loss for the small scale vendors, right?
Yes.
They have to put in their own money to fix the shoe which you wore for 30 days, and they are going at a massive loss on it. So it's an app, or it's a solution for that exact problem. So if you scroll down, so you'll see my timeline. So the 3 days, what I've done, how am I split into my uh,
Right.
my
Okay.
design process.
Wow.
So yeah, if you scroll down, you'll see what are the execution methods. So it starts with the research, empathy, research, ideation, and prototype. So I kept it simple. There's a lot of other things which can be played if the time allows, but I
Right.
did only 4. So again, you will see a common theme from a learning process. I started with mind map. It's a great tool to early on you'll know what are things that are affecting the problem itself. So
Yes.
mind map is a great tool. Uh, if you scroll down, so
So have you spoke to any people? Have you took any interview for this 3 day thing
yes,
or?
yes, I have. So I spoke to not a lot of people, but I spoke to a few. I spoke to a few of my friends, a few of my friends of mutual friends. So yeah, so I think around like 4 or 5 users I spoke to. I don't remember actually.
Right. Okay.
So these are the two personas. One being so what I did was I focused more towards the public side, as in the buyer side. So I have two personas. One being a fashion and like one a guy who loves fashion, and other guy is Sundar, which is more of a who for a medical purpose, who buys shoes for a medical purpose, as in
Okay.
for his knee pain. So
Okay.
if you scroll down, so this is the information architecture, really important when you are designing something, which gives the basic layout of what's going to be there inside each screen. So this is the information architecture. So you scroll down. It's the user flows.
Okay.
Again, simple stuff. What will happen in each stage of the app. So these are the mid fidelities, and yeah. So
So
these are
what's the
the
solution you got at the end?
okay. So I can explain. So if you scroll, it's a multiple. It's not a single solution. It's a progressive thing.
Right. Okay.
So the solution is basically making the shoe the right fit for you inside the app. So how will you buy a shoe? How will you try on a shoe if you are booking it from online? So one of the main
Wow.
reasons that I found out was the size don't like you buy a shoe and it ends up being the wrong size, or
Yes.
you don't like it when it arrives. Maybe the quality, the feel, the touch and feel of the aspect of buying shoes in person is lost in online purchases, right?
Yes.
So I wanted to gap that bridge when it comes to my solution. So one of the solutions were feed scans, where you can use your iPhone's Face ID. Face ID works different from normal camera sensor because it has a dot sensor where you sprays multiple dots and you can find the contours of any surface.
Oh,
With this, you can have a scan of your feet, and you can have a tailor fit shoe for you. So
wow.
this was more of a for the second persona, for a one who's for a medical purpose guy, which we talked earlier. So this will recommend shoes. So what it happens is what so it will take a scan of a feet, and it will match the attributes to what they have in the store. Let's say you have a flat foot, and the attributes, let's say a shoe A is really good for flat foots,
Okay.
and it suggests it recommends a shoe for you. So basically, it's more tailor fit for you. So in
Okay,
that
okay.
it makes sense. Yeah.
Right, interesting. So it's a portfolio.
Mm.
So I'll just add this link to this portfolio in the description.
Sure,
So if
sure.
you want people, you may look into this and get inspiration. Yeah, you can. So yeah, okay, it's an interesting portfolio, dude. And so yeah, you are working in Deloitte for nearly 1.5 years. Am I right?
Not exactly 1 year. It's gonna be 6 months.
6 months. I'm sorry.
That's
Right.
okay.
Okay. So yeah, so you know how this works, and what advice you will tell it or suggest your upcoming designers? What advice
Okay.
you would say?
So I have a few. One thing is that I wish someone told me when I was starting my career
Okay, tell me.
is, is that is that don't compare your work with others. As in, don't benchmark yourself with others' work. So when I bet you use uh, Behance or Dribble or Pinterest and stuff, and you go there and you see like these high-fi, flashy designs, right? And
Yes.
don't think that is success. As in, don't benchmark yourself, because those designs are really unpractical when it comes to the real life. If you take 10 successful
Dribble
products,
UIs, right? When you go to Dribble,
yes,
it usually happens in Dribble, not even in
yeah,
Behance.
exactly.
Yes.
So Behance is more of a portfolio site, but Dribble, it happens a lot, like because it's mostly for self marketing, if it makes sense. If I can do this flashy design, your requirements won't be a problem for me. It's something like that. And I wouldn't recommend you, worrying about, yeah, basically, if you take 10 successful apps in the market right now and you compare to any Dribble design, they won't match, because it's really
Definitely.
unpractical. When you have budget and time constraint into the equation, they don't come out these flashy. Or so what I would do is mainly focus on solving the user's problem itself. So if I can
Right.
solve
Actually, it
80.
happened to me like 6 months back. I did an internship in a startup called Habitat. I designed this product called Scroll Me.
Mm,
So that time, I used to be a naive kid. Used to go around dribble and find some inspiration, and say to my head of design, Naveen. Yeah, I used to
mm,
tell him, sir, can I do this and that? And he used to be like, a day developers can't make that. Don't
mm,
do this the kind of things. This
yes.
will like you will waste time at the end of the day. Don't try these kind of things, this won't work.
Mm,
And I don't understand what he says, and I used to be like, this design is nice, and I don't know, like every time I used to look into Dribble and say, sir, this is nice, sir, this is
mm.
nice. And he was like, no, no, no.
Yeah,
Go,
exactly.
just it happens like that. So then
Happens.
after 1 or 2 months, then I realized, okay, there are a lot of constraints behind developing and API and different functions behind the application or a website. It is not just only design. You can't make animation transition which comes from sky, and you can't do that. That is not possible. So looking at Dribble is something not advisable.
Yes, exactly. So if everyone has infinite number of budget and infinite time, maybe it could work. But in real life, it's not possible. So that is one of the things. And I have so another thing is that I would recommend you start reading books as well.
Okay.
So one thing uh, which I am not is not I'm not a reader. I don't read stuff. I'm more of a visual learner. I think I've never finished a book or even halfway through a book. I usually doze off in the second page itself. So reading was not my cup of tea, but listening to books, yes, I can do that.
Okay.
So I would recommend, even if you're not a reader, get into listening to audiobooks as well. So I would recommend one book, which is The Design of Everyday Things,
Right, Don
which is by
Norman.
Don Norman. So if you don't know, please get into it. He's like a really good designer. I don't uh, I think he was called the godfather of UX design, or I don't.
As far as I know, he coined this term called UX.
Yeah, he was.
And yeah,
Yeah, he was or the father or the godfather of UX design. I don't
okay.
remember.
And he worked with Steve Jobs too in
Hmm.
Apple.
Yes, so he's like a really good guy who talks about UX. So, and I would recommend that book. And yeah, if someone who I think it's also called the Bible for design. So yeah, I would recommend that book if anyone is getting.
Right. And on to add more to that, I would also say read this blog called NN Articles, which is by Don Norman, and his one of his friend Nielsen.
Hmm.
So they have a lot of very good articles, which you should definitely read to enhance your idea
Yes.
about what user experience is.
Hmm.
So yeah, thank you, Mughil. Thank you for your
Thanks, Suresh.
too
Thanks
good
for having me.
advice. And what other resources would you would suggest? Like for inspirations, I would go to Behance and Dribble usually. And
Okay.
for
So
design, what other resources you would suggest?
I would say Behance is a no-go for me. Behance usually clutters my mind. I would say Pinterest.
Okay.
Pinterest is easy because you can just so there you can just pin your thing and it comes as a mood board for you. So I usually use Pinterest. Behance, not so much. Behance, if I want a particular, let's say, there's a lot of projects that happens in Behance. So if you are tackling a similar project, for let's say donations in my case, I can just go and search in Behance. There's a high chance there might be a similar project to it. So you can't copy, but you
You should
can
not. You got. You
yeah,
should not. Right.
maybe steal like an artist. So you
Yes.
can just maybe pick out few things, key points, if that helps your project. So yeah. So one thing is that another thing. I'm if you're learning something, I would recommend a site called Interaction Design Foundation (IDF).
Okay.
So it's a place where it's a community. I would say it's a community of designers, and they have a lot of courses by well-known designers. So it's basically in text, and it's a combination of text and videos. So you won't get bored, and plus at the end of the course, the certificate is valued in the market other than other certificates like the Google one that Google gives
Yeah,
or
Google gives some UX
UX.
fundamentals, I
Yeah.
guess.
So yeah, it would better be helpful if you go to a more
How
well-reputed.
much they cost, the IDF courses?
They cost around. It's cheap only if you consider it's 8,000 per year. So comes around somewhere 700 rupees per month. Something.
Okay, 8,000
You
per year
can't pay it
for a particular course or the complete subscription of the
the
IDF?
complete community. You will enroll into the
Wow,
community,
wow.
pay me. So it's only paid annually. You can't pay it monthly. So
Right, a good one. Okay, Mughal, thank you for your time. It's
thank you,
good time
Sudarshan.
talking with you.
Thank you guys. Thanks for listening to my rant. And I mean, Sudarshan was a great host. I hope you have uh, good luck with your endeavors. And yeah, hope this podcast goes places. And I hope I be famous someday through this.
Thank you, Mughal. Thank you.